It's your emergency.
Gun violence has become a prominent issue in American culture and politics, with the amount of mass shootings on the rise. Of these tragic events, school shootings are becoming more common, even normalized in society. This harsh reality has taken a toll on the school community, students and staff members alike. Everybody is trying to simultaneously avoid and accept the fact that DGS may not always remain untouched by gun violence.
So I wish I didn't have to answer the question of how as an administrator school shootings impact my running of the school, but unfortunately it is our current reality. So one thing just about me, so I started my teaching career in the 1998-1999 school year. Was my very first year as a teacher. That is also the year that Columbine happened. So in my very first year teaching, was the year that schools all over the country, including the one I was working at, Joliet West High School, put in place like the lockdown measures, where at that time we would lock the door and hide up, like kind of hide in the corner. And so really my entire career has had school shootings as a part of who I am and what I do. And I think I'm unique, and that teachers just a little bit older than me had time in their lives where they didn't have to think about that.
School shootings have impacted my mental health in the sense of like maybe being more stressed while at school. I mean, of course I feel safe while I'm in school, but you never know what could happen. And school shootings happen so often, unfortunately, and it's definitely something that people need to be more aware of.
Most adults never had to face the danger and anxiety surrounding school shootings while in school, but for current students, gun violence is a part of everyday life.
It's more common to think about in classes how I can get out of the classroom in case there's something happening, or sometimes I'll talk to friends and we'll discuss it, but it's become so common now that it's a really concerning situation that we need to talk about more, I guess.
The fear of school shootings doesn't just apply to students, but also teachers.
I think as a teacher and the adult and the person who would have to handle the situation, it's just made me think a lot more. I'll be teaching and thinking, okay, if something happened, what exit would we go out? What would I tell my kids? Where would we hide? It's just one of those things that I never thought in my teacher training program. We were never taught we would have to think this way, and now there's this whole other factor besides my lesson plans that I consider, and I consider it on a weekly basis. It will just pop into my head because it happens so much in our country. It's hard to get away from, and so it's I'll be teaching what would happen now? We're in the library. What would happen now? Some of my kids are in the hall, some are in the classroom. So it's just made me constantly aware of the fact that I am responsible for 25, 30 kids and thinking about what I would do if I had to do something.
Despite the challenge and danger that school shootings pose, DGS is taking steps to ensure the safety of all students and staff members.
We also have our Blue Point system, and so I don't know if students are familiar with Blue Point, but Blue Point works similar to a fire alarm. So if you pull the fire alarm, you know the police are coming. Students have been trained to pull the Blue Point system. If there's an active shooter in our building, that will activate the Downers Grove Police Department to come to our building right away.
When I think about me as a teacher, I'm thinking about myself with kids who are almost adults, and they're still kids very much, and I'm still responsible, but they're still near adulthood. My son's a kindergartner. To think about him in a situation where the poor teacher has to control 20 kindergartners, and him not understand what he should be doing is honestly horrifying. He came home the other day, like, talking about, like, if they had bad guy training at school. Like, that we live in a country where kindergartners have bad guy training at a place where they're supposed to feel really safe. I never had that in school. So that's probably what gets me the most, thinking about my kids, thinking about the little kids not knowing. And I don't want them to grow up in this world. I didn't grow up in a world like this.